Revelation chapter 17, verse 12. And the 10 horns which thou sawest are 10 kings. So I want you to think of 10 commandments, the law that is against us, because we break the law, which have received no kingdom as yet, but receive power as kings 1 hour with the beast. These have one mind, and shall give their power and strength to the beast. Now I want you to think about what's being said here. Okay? The beast is going to reign as cruel authority over mankind because mankind wants to violate God's law. Mankind hates thou shalt not commit adultery because we're living in a generation right now that is adulterous and nothing but that. And so the power that the beast has is given to him by, think about what Paul said in 1 Corinthians 15. He's talking about the sting of death. The sting of death is sin. And the strength of sin is what? The law. And so in the 10 toes of Nebuchadnezzar's kingdom, okay, the fourth kingdom, you have the 10 toes. When the fifth thing that Nebuchadnezzar sees, which is a stone cut without hands, which is Jesus Christ, when the stone cut without hands is going to destroy and cause to fall these four kingdoms, where does the stone attack? Does it go after the head? No. Does it go after the chest? No. Does it try to cut his legs off? No. Where does it go? It goes crashing into the toes. Why? Because this idol represents the man of sin, and the strength of the man of sin and what allows him to stand is his toes, the law. Isn't that neat? And so the strength of sin is the law. The strength, the power of the man, they gave their strength unto the beast is what the Bible says. They're giving the strength of sin, which is the law, to the beast. Now let's read the next verse. Verse 14. These shall make war with the Lamb, and the Lamb shall overcome them. Did you see that? These, listen, there's a law in my flesh that is at war with the law in my spirit. Paul said it in Romans chapter 7. Okay? My flesh is enmity against God. My flesh hates God. My flesh is evil. It's wicked. It wants to break all 10 commandments in like 1 hour. That's what my flesh wants to do. And in my flesh I cannot please God. My mind is contrary to the law of God because the law provides the strength of sin. And these shall make war with the Lamb. And the Lamb shall overcome them. And I will say this to you, okay? I like trying to live by what God said. There's nothing in me more desirous than to do what God said and obey what He said. I love the law. I love the book. I love the whole counsel of God, Genesis to Revelation. The problem is, my flesh says, we don't like God. My members hate God. And so that law just strengthens my flesh. It like gives my flesh, oh yeah, you said I can't do this? Well, watch this. That's my flesh. And so my flesh, the strength of sin in me, makes war with the Lamb. The Lamb overcomes me. You need to get your mind right on salvation. God was not looking for the most superior guy to pick, and when He came upon you, He said, hey, there's nobody better than this guy. Let's save him so he can do us some benefit. That's not what happened. The Lamb overcame your flesh and broke you down. And you decided you didn't want to go to hell. You wanted to go to heaven. See, the Lamb, it worked, didn't it? Isn't it neat? Isn't it neat? Here we have the locust, the scorpion, surrounding Christ on the cross. Okay? The enemies of God. And they didn't know that they were being defeated by the very death of Jesus Christ. I'm not done because we have cancer. Okay? Cancer is like the crab. Okay? And I think, if I remember right, it's called that because when you get like a skin cancer, Everybody said it looked like you had a crab on your skin, so that's why they called it that. And I want you to look at the crab again. It kind of looks like the locust, doesn't it? You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 horns on it. Well, they're legs, but they're horns. The crab represents the dominion of the beast and the 10 kings that give him his strength and his authority. He is the man of sin. And the Lamb overcomes the 10 kings. I absolutely love it. Okay? Sorry. Now, so that's our zodiac in a nutshell. These are all the enemies of God. They are the evil angels that hate Jesus Christ and they want to see him destroyed. And when Jesus comes back, he's going to get rid of them all. Okay? But we're wrestling against these right now. Ephesians chapter 6, verse 11. The Bible says, "Put on the whole armor of God, that you may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, and against spiritual wickedness in high places." And you know, I want you to know that I like to count things in the Bible, and I've counted this before, and we've done this before, but we have 1, 2, 3, 4 different things that we wrestle against. And here's the issue. Because when you have the zodiac, let me show it to you this way, okay? When you have the zodiac, and I'm going to put this graphic up on the screen for you so you can see it, okay? There's actually 12 of them, but they are divided into 4 groups of 3. There's 3 in this group, 3 in this, 3 in this, and you say, well, that's kind of like the months of the year. Bingo, you got it. Because if you look at your astrological chart, you'll see that Gemini is like over 1 month, and Sagittarius is over this month, and so on. And so they all have rule over their little month. They have rule over time. But really, they're divided up into 4 groups of 3. So you have what looks like a cross here, and there's 4 sections of it. So this matches what Paul said in Ephesians. Here we have principalities, powers, rulers of darkness, and spiritual wickedness in high places. And this is really interesting because when God made these stars, and they didn't make God. God made them. God created them, including Lucifer. When God made them, I want you to notice Genesis chapter 1, verse 14. Let's see what God said. And God said, "Let there be lights in the firmament of the heaven to divide the day from the night, and let them be for," let's count, "signs, seasons, days, and years." 4, principalities, powers, rulers of darkness, spiritual wickedness in high places. By the way, the kingdom that has the 10 toes, it's the 4th one. Okay, so we're kind of understanding who this kingdom is. It's them. Okay, they really are going to come down and rule over us, just like all the movies said. Well, they really are. Okay? And God said, let them be for signs and for seasons and for days and for years. And then in verse 16, He said, God made 2 great lights, the greater light to rule the day and the lesser light to rule the night, and He made the stars also. And I want you to understand that we have 1 light that rules over the day, the sun, and then we have the moon and all these stars that rule over the night. That's important. I'm going to show you that in a minute. God said, and God set them in the firmament of the heaven to give light upon the earth, and to rule over the day and over the night, and to divide the light from the darkness. And God saw that it was good. And the evening and the morning were what day? The 4th day. The evening and the morning. God created these 4, principalities, powers, rulers of darkness, spiritual wickedness, high places. The 4 sections of the zodiac He created on day 4 of creation. And there's a reason why I'm showing you this, okay? Because I want you to pay attention to this. We saw in Daniel chapter 2, verse 40, that it's the 4th kingdom that has the strength of sin, the 10 kings. Daniel chapter 7, verse 7, we have the 4th beast, who is dreadful and terrible. He's going to rule over the entire earth. Now I want you to look at this. In Daniel 7, we have a king. In Daniel chapter 2, we have a king. Daniel 7, we have a king. He is the 4th beast. And he is going to rule over everything. In fact, Revelation chapter 13 tells us that the Antichrist is given his power and his seat and great authority by Lucifer himself. Now I'm going to show you again, I keep references, I'm going to show you again what's on the front of Albert Pike's Morals and Dogma. Okay, and I want you to look at this. Here we have a crown, and it's a king. And I want you to notice on top of this crown is a cross. Stop right here. A cross has 1, 2, 3, 4 points to it. Okay? Think about that. We have a crown with a cross on it. oh, this is Jesus. No, it's not. And we have a winged creature with 2 heads. And I want you to notice what's under the wings. We have stars that are under the wings. Anytime you have something under something else, this rules over this. Okay? If we get into a fight, you and I end up sitting on the back of your head, I win. Okay? You're not going to get up from there. Okay? Anyway, so anytime you have something over something, it rules over that. Jesus had a crown of thorns. The curse was ruling over him, and he took that curse to the cross. Okay? The 5 lords of the Philistines were in a porch over Samson. They were ruling over Samson, and he destroyed them in his death. Isn't that? I just love that. So here's the symbolism of it. Okay? The number 33 is important here. Why? Because 33% is 1/3. Revelation chapter 12. And his tail drew the 3rd part of the stars of heaven, and did cast them to the earth, and the dragon stood before the woman which was ready to be delivered, for to devour her child as soon as it was born. This beast is actually reigning over 33% of the stars. Actually, it's 33.33333. It just keeps on going. It's infinity. Okay? Isn't it neat? So here we have a picture of the Antichrist with a crown on his head. The 10 kings. We have the cross, which represents the principalities, powers, rulers of darkness, spiritual wickedness, and they're governing over these evil stars that are cast down to the ground. Now you see it. Now you understand what Albert Pike won't tell you in this book. You'll see it clearly from the Scriptures. Now, I had mentioned earlier to some people that one of the reasons why I'm doing this and kind of going over this astrology thing, because I saw something new in the Scriptures. It wasn't just written yesterday. It's been there for a long time. I just kind of recognized it and saw what it was. In the book of Galatians. Now, the book of Galatians is a very interesting book. If you're not familiar with it, I encourage you to read it. Because the book of Galatians was written by Paul, a Jew. Okay? He used to be, in fact, he died a Jew. He was of the tribe of Benjamin. And Paul said of himself, if you want to find a guy that keeps the law, that's me. Okay? Or he just kind of pretended to keep the law, because nobody ever actually kept the whole law except Jesus Christ. But Paul said, I know the law inside and out. And Paul went around telling everybody, hey, you're not saved by doing good works. You're not saved by being circumcised. You're not saved by keeping feast days. You're not saved by this. You're not saved by keeping the 10 Commandments. Because if you could be, Jesus would not have died to take away the curse of the 10 Commandments on us. So Paul went around telling everybody, you're saved by grace. Some people had come into the region of Gaul, which is around France. That's the Galatian churches. Some people had come in. They were Jews that hated grace. And they snuck into that church. Jude said certain men crept in unawares. And they crept in, the creeps, crept into these churches up there. And they began to tell everybody, see, we've still got the Old Testament. And if you're really saved, you're going to have to keep the law, buddy. And so they convinced people up there that they weren't really saved because they weren't circumcised. They weren't keeping the law. And really, what it was all about, it was about a bunch of Jews who hated Jesus, and who hated free grace, and hated the fact that they've been told for 2,000 years to keep the law, and here these Gentile idiots come along and say, we don't know how to keep the law. We don't even know what all the law is, but we know that God saved us because we believe what we were told. And they hated, they despise it. By the way, they still do. The Jews, there are certain Jews in this world that absolutely despise Jesus Christ. And they despise the Goyim gospel, the Gentile gospel. They hate it. It's like a nasty taste on their tongue. And they have set out. The biggest, most fiercest adversaries of the gospel in the book of Acts was the Jews, evil Jews who hated Jesus Christ. And I want you to think about that. I want you to consider that, because that's what's going on. There is movements going on right now in this world trying to convince people